which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Enrolling grades 6 through 12. Okay, so we were talking about, I just want to finish this up because this is kind of what made me think, all right, Occam's razor, simplest thing. He didn't really, there's no conspiracy. He did kill himself. Derek, you got that first track with Jason Chavitz. He's interviewing John Yoo and John Iannarelli about what the real issue is. Go ahead.
No, I think government in general is suffering because they just don't trust them, and all of a sudden things break down, and this is so suspicious. Mr. Iannarelli, before I get you to comment, I want you to hear the sound from one of the prison consultants and their take on things.
Let's see the tapes, because every federal prison has what they've referred to as range cameras. So even though there's not individual cell cameras in the cells ordinarily, there are range cameras.
What's your take on that when you hear him say that? I mean, every door has cameras on both sides of it so that the guards can actually see what's going on, who's coming and going. There's going to be a lot of tapes there, right?
Absolutely. You know, for your viewing population that has not been to a prison, I will tell you, it's not like walking into 7-Eleven. Doors aren't going to slide open for you. There are checks and procedures. You have to show multiple forms of identification. The reality is there's many different points you have to identify yourself. So nobody's just going to wander in, commit a murder, and wander out. I think it's important that we shouldn't underestimate the government's ability to be incompetent and allow things like this to happen.
Okay, right. That's good. All right. So, exactly. It's
never attribute to malice what can be attributed to plain stupidity.
Exactly. But to that same point that he just made, if they were sleeping or if they were attending and pretending to be asleep, who's watching? Who's watching the watchers?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
An age-old question.
Could somebody walk in? Can somebody doctor the tapes? I'm putting my stuff. But anyways, more than likely, he did commit suicide. Was he allowed to commit suicide? I don't know.
Was he encouraged?
Was he encouraged? I'm sure he was.
Did a worse fate wait for him if he didn't commit suicide?
Exactly right. Exactly right. So,
well, you know what? Come tell me, he used to be on Pedophile Island. Now he's in pedophile penitentiary. You know, I mean, they don't like pedophiles in the pen,
true.
You know?
So maybe that other cop did beat him up the first time, the bad cop that was in jail with him. All right, so we're done with that. We're going to move on to what you and I want to talk about, which is Google and press manipulation and all the crazy stuff that is going on in the media and with Google. But before we get there, we got to have Gary, and I want to get Gary's take on this too, because I'm sure he's got something good. Gary from Hazel Park. Gary, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys, thank you. You know, I think we finally have the answer. We know who's got the biggest balls of them all, and that would be Tlaib. I mean, this woman, she puts on the Palestinian flag, dances around when she got elected. She starts MFing the president. She hangs out with CARE. She talks trash about Israel. And then she has the nerve to play the victim.
Yeah, well, that's what Democrats are all about now, playing the victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Gary, Ed and I want to talk about, and I want to get your take on this as well. And we've got some. Do you want to play a track? You want to start with a track?
Yeah, we could start out with another Epstein, Robert Epstein, and Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is having a hearing.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's kind of self-explanatory. Derek, you got that?
Yeah, Gary, hang on. I want to get your take on this too.
All right.
Dr. Epstein, I found your testimony incredibly powerful and incredibly concerning. And if anyone draws news out of this hearing, I would encourage you to review very carefully Dr. Epstein's testimony. And I'd like to take a moment to make clear several things. First of all, as I understand your background, you're not a Republican and nor are you a conservative. Is that accurate?
That would be an understatement.
And indeed, you're the former editor-in-chief of Psychology Today.
Correct.
So you're a respected academic. You testified before this committee that Google's manipulation of votes gave at least 2.6 million additional votes to Hillary Clinton in the year 2016. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I want to make sure I understand. You personally supported and voted for Hillary Clinton.
I was a very strong public supporter of Hillary Clinton, yes.
So you're not dismayed that people voted for her, but your testimony is that Google is, through bias in search results, manipulating voters in a way they're not aware of.
on a massive scale. And what I'm saying is that I believe in democracy. I believe in the free and fair election more than I have any kind of allegiance to a candidate or a party.
And looking forward, if I understood your testimony correctly, you said in subsequent elections, Google and Facebook and Twitter and big text manipulation could manipulate as many as 15 million votes in a subsequent election?
In 2020, if all these companies are supporting the same candidate, there are 15 million votes on the line that can be shifted without people's knowledge and without leaving a paper trail for authorities to trace.
Now, you described the Go Vote reminder, and you said it wasn't a public service announcement, but rather manipulation. Can you explain how? I'm not sure everyone followed the details of that.
Well, sure. If on Election Day in 2016, if Mark Zuckerberg, for example, had chosen to send out a Go Vote reminder, say just to Democrats, and no one would have known if he had done this, that would have given that day an additional at least 450,000 votes to Democrats. And we know this without doubt because of Facebook's own published data, because they did an experiment that they didn't tell anyone about during the 2010 election. They published it in 2012. It had 60 million Facebook users involved.
All right.
That's subtle.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Gary, you're on the line. Did we just find a unicorn? Did we just find the first honest Democrat in this guy?
I'm thinking
Mr. Epstein?
of Dershowitz also.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Dershowitz.
but yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's refreshing to hear. I mean, editor of Psychology Today, super academic, super liberal. Obviously, he just said, I supported Hillary, and he was probably kind of secretly happy. But,
yeah,
it didn't work out the way he wanted to anyways. But at least he's honest enough to say, Google is manipulating all of us. Mm-hmm. Not only sharing our data and doing whatever, they're manipulating all of us. Do you feel manipulated, Gary?
No, because I don't do that stuff. But I will tell you that they do call this the age of information age, and they're not lying. If you go back through history, like the Nazis, the book burning, that was to eliminate information. The whole notion of the Bible was not allowed to be printed outside of Latin, because the Roman Catholic Church wanted to control the information. So there's nothing new about this.
Yeah. Well, he who controls the information controls everything.
Yeah.
Right? Is what it comes down to. So it's not the Russian collusion that's affecting the election. It's Google that is affecting the election. There's collusion with Google and the Democrats at this point, right? The liberals Google is controlled. All the big tech companies are controlled by
Google is
liberals.
not an American company.
I didn't know that.
Oh, let's put it this way. Google is a company with headquarters in America who will not support software design and support to the U.S. military, but will to the People's Republic of China, who will kowtow to China and put up firewalls and blocks and reporting devices on the Chinese people, okay, when their motto is do no evil. Now, that Google is not our friend.
Which is why I've switched to DuckDuckGo, but a lot of times I still have to go to Google, right? It's just the way it is. They hold such a monopoly on information that a lot of times I have to.
I'm looking for a story. I'm looking for a story, say for here, and I'm looking for a story that I know exists, and I have to dig. Because all the search results come up are Slate, CNN, MSNBC, LGBT, and it just goes on. And then finally, somewhere, you phrase it just right and narrow it down. There's the story I was looking for, finally.
Yeah, so I end up sometimes looking for just trying to log into my website, right? www.thedailydrift.com. I can't tell you the number of times with Google. I type in the doggone internet address, and I get a 3, 4, 5 dozen other things before I come to mine.
Blogger.com is owned by Google, as is YouTube. All right. There are people who have lost their YouTube accounts. All right. There are bloggers who have lost their blogging accounts. And we're not talking about the neo-Nazis are still on there. I don't know how that works.
Right.
But some of the more thoughtful intellectual bloggers that I know that are very conservative and out front. They've lost their blog. A guy we had on the radio a few weeks ago, Larry Lambert, he can no longer comment on any blogs under Google using his Google account. He still has his blog, but there's something broke that he can't comment anywhere. Now, I really do think that's malicious.
Yeah.
Well, the numbers you guys quoted are staggering. We're talking millions and millions of votes. And if we don't counteract those votes, we're sunk. So we have to be ahead of the game, not just equal to, but ahead of the game in combating this stuff.
Yeah. Well, look at what they were saying about Facebook. Now, Zuckerberg, with the flick of a pen, so to speak, it wouldn't cost him any money. All right. So it's nothing he has to declare as a campaign contribution to anybody. He can say, hey, on election day, anybody who has posted pro-liberal views, remind them to go out and vote. And then anybody who's posted conservative views, remind them that voting is the next day.
And don't think they can't do that because they have AI stuff now. They're relying on artificial intelligence.
Right.
Dr. Epstein says it's been done already. You know, they ran a trial on it in 2010 and talked about it in 2012. Can't prove it was done in 2016. They're probably itching to do it in 2020 because I've read where he thought that they didn't do it in 2020 or 2016 because they thought they had a lock on it and they didn't need to expend the effort.
Interesting. All right, Gary, anything else?
Did you guys hear? Yeah, did you guys hear about that building they were building, I think, in Nevada that is, I don't know, 5 or 6 acres, and all it is the records of the Internet and everything?
I had not. Who's building that? Google?
I'm not sure. I don't remember because it's all...
Are they building it in Area 51?
No, they built it underneath Area 51.
Oh, okay.
All right. Great call, Gary. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye now.
Have a good one. Let's take a call from Joe in Wyandotte. You said it. Here he is. Welcome, Joe.
Did you just wake up?
Hey, no, I've been listening the whole program, patiently waiting for the right time to call in and say, I got this great new chicken recipe that I just got to discuss with you.
Yeah. That's a way of changing the subject. Yeah.
I couldn't resist. I have to tease you.
Well, I can't resist either. Or hashtag Joe Lenard, hashtag chicken recipe, hashtag... Go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Joe. You want to talk about Google?
Seriously, though, I mean, people could conduct their own easy experiments with Google and DuckDuckGo, and like you both are saying, see the clear left-wing biased results sites promoted via Google. And on a personal note, you can type in a direct quote of a title like the Nazi label keeps getting tossed about, let's examine the claim. On Google and DuckDuckGo, Google, with that direct quote of my article title, will not come up, even with it directly quoted. But on DuckDuckGo, even partial searches, you will find mine. So, I mean, I know I'm being shadow banned by Google as well as Facebook and Twitter myself.
Absolutely, because I'm running into the same things. Absolutely, I am. Yeah, I know I've been throttled down somehow. There's some algorithms. When I can't find my own website, when I put it in, there's a problem, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's ridiculous. And that easy, simple experiment on the bias can be conducted, like I said, by anyone, but people won't do it because they want to maintain their delusional state.
Well, we have this clip of Zachary Voorhees, a former Google employee who had been supplying the Justice Department and some newspapers with documents, and Google finally figured out who he was and terminated him. But, Derek, you got the audio for Project Veritas?
All right, listen to this, Joe.
They're not an objective source of information. They are a highly biased political machine that is bent on never letting somebody like Donald Trump come to power again.
The Google whistleblower has come out of the shadows, this time releasing a large cache of remarkable confidential Google documents that expose Google's political bias and a scary progressive social agenda.
My name is Zach Voorhees, and I was an employee at Google for 8 years. And the reason why I collected these documents was because I saw something dark and nefarious going on with the company. I felt that our entire election